Stella Jaja, and today I would like to read to you a book called A Bus Called Heaven by Bob Graham. So let's check it out. A Bus Called Heaven. The bus changed Stella's street. Traffic slowed where no traffic had slowed before. People stopped and talked together. Just a little, but they talked. Stella changed too. She took her thumb from her mouth, where it usually lived, and said, "Mummy, that old bus is sad as a whale on a beach." There she pushed open the door and climbed on board. Stella, the colour of moonlight, stood among the bottles, cans, and rubbish. She was so pale you could almost see through her. "It could be ours," she whispered. "Whose?" asked Nikki, Vicky, Alex, Yasmin, and Poe. "What did she say?" asked Mrs. de Montes. "Ours," she said louder. "Well, whoever's it is, it needs to come off the road," said Stella's mum. And when Dad came home that afternoon, he found an old bus where the front garden used to be. The wheels stick out on the pavement. He said, "There are sure to be regulations." "Well, it's staying here," said Stella. "That's my regulation." Next morning, Stella looked out of her front window. People sat on the wall, where no one had ever sat before. Under the bus were Isa, Rather, Chelsea, and Charles. "Mummy," said Stella, "I'm going out," and she joined them. The next day, the bus settled in weeds nudged up around the tires, snails made silver trails, and a pair of sparrows nested the old engine. While the children played, the grown-ups mopped and scrubbed and polished. That night, the bus saw a bit of a new paint. "Hello, boys," said Mum. "I've got an idea. Come back tomorrow and you can paint the whole bus. Make it sparkle." Next morning, Stella drew a picture for the rats to copy. People came with donations for the old bus. Poppy brought her goldfish. Luke gave a set of super comics. Stella carried in her table football with the goalie missing. Mr. Stavros bought his bus cake, and Lucy lent her dog, Bear, for anyone who needed to just sit and pat something. Life returned to the old bus. Stella's fingers fluttered and her footballer spun. Babies crawled, people laughed, kids fought, grandparents scratched dogs, Meetings were planned, couples met, and the flingers showed their holiday pictures. One Sunday morning, just outside Stella's house, there was music and dancing. There were picnics and laughter when a tow truck arrived. "It's against regulations," said the driver. "This bus is causing an obstruction." "He means it sticks out," Stella's dad whispered. "The bus has to go," said the driver. As the front wheels left the ground, snails dropped from under the bus, and twittering came out of the old engine. "Go where?" gasped the crowd. "To the boneyard," came the reply. The crowd pleaded for their bus, but the boneyard boss came out to join the driver and shook his head. "This one's for the crushers." A little pink glow crept across Stella's cheek. 3 rescued snails were deep in her pocket. "Excuse me," she said. "Shall we play table football? You can have the only goalie, but if I win, we'll keep the bus." "And why?" asked the boneyard boss. "Tell me why I should play you for the bus." "Because," replied Stella, "there are sparrows nesting in the engine." The game began. Handler spun. The football smacked end to end, then. "Goal!" Stella scored. She followed that with 9 more and won. The boss put out his hand. "Joe," he said. "Stella," said Stella, and shook it. Then Stella ran to the front of the bus. "Come and see," she said. "Chicks." Amid the frantic flapping of the parent sparrows' wings, Joe the barnyard boss spoke quietly. "Better get your bus to somewhere safe, kid, somewhere out of the way." "Thank you," said Stella, and the crowd cheered. "I know where we can take it," said Stella. While the others pushed, she and Mum sat up the front to steer. Almost back to where they'd started from. And when the old bus came to rest, at last everyone else needed a rest too. Well, almost everyone. That evening, in the vacant element just behind Stella's house. Music drifted high over the city, and grass was danced flat around a bus called Heaven. A full moon rose. The 3 snails slid safely back under the trees, the tires, and tomorrow Stella will see the sparrow chicks fly for the first time. Well, that's the end of our book. I hope you liked it as much as I liked it. That's a great book. I chose this book because I had a little look through it before I picked it out, and I thought it's so colourful here. Then when you open it up to a few pages past the first one, it has this. So it meant that this is how it started and this is how it ends. So I thought I wanted to know how it became so colourful. And I love that story. So thank you for joining me. Bye.